What's up, YouTube? It's me, Dr. Fish King. Now, welcome back to the 2014 season. Welcome to 2014 and the first ever episode of Top 6 Saturdays for 2014. We're gonna start things all off hot with my top 6 Pokemon generations. We're gonna do it 1 through 6, how I like them, what I don't like about them, and we'll see where it goes. Okay, let's go. So, starting off at number 6 is is Generation 2, Gold, Silver, Crystal. Now, Now, it was okay, but it wasn't as good as I like how you can go through the Kanto, through Johto and Kanto. My bad. Yeah. Sorry, having a little trouble talking today. But so we've got that, and we've got but it's just, let's see. I like how you can go through the 2 regions, but that's about it. It's like the level your Pokemon need to be at for that gen to get through any gym is crazy compared to the wild Poke. The level of the wild Pokemon compared to the level your Pokemon should be at to fight the gym is way too little. It's way too small. It's way too big of a gap to do any kind of good grinding in any wild area near it. Now, with that said, we're going to move on to number 5, and that is Gen 6, the new generation that just came out recently, or a couple months ago. Now, it's number 6 on my list, or number 5 on my list, because, well, I like the innovations that it did to it. In my opinion, there's no bad generation. Let me say that right now. I should probably have said this earlier, but there is no bad generation out there of Pokemon. There's no bad generation. I like all 6 gens. It's just, this is how I'd rate them from 1 to 6, like, in order of when I'd go back and play it again. Play the main story again, I should say. Complete another playthrough. Now, Gen 6, as for Gen 6, it's really fast-paced. I love how fast-paced it is compared to other generations. But the after game is a bit lacking, and I can understand why it was, because the after game of Diamond and Pearl was really short, was really lacking as well. And as for the after game but the after game for Platinum was huge, was crazy. So hopefully, if we get Pokemon Z this year in 2014, maybe they'll give us a good after game. So that's what I'm hoping for. But the new Pokemon they added were they added a lot of good new Pokemon like Sylveon and a couple Delphox, but it wasn't enough to push it up any higher. The Looker missions are annoying as hell, though. I hate the Looker missions. Absolutely hate them. Can't stand 1 second of them. But so we'll move on to number 4, which on my list is Generation 3. Now, Gen 3, a lot of people skipped over, and I hate why I don't get why people did that. I love Gen 3. Now, Generation 3. I would never go back to it for the story of the game, because I hate Gen 3 story. Or it's not that I hated it. Now, I'd go back to Gen 3 less. I'd go back to Gen 3. There's a less chance of me going back to Gen 3 than there is Gen 6 or Gen 2. Now, why? Now, you're asking yourself, why is it number 4 then? Simple. Some of my more than half my favorite Pokemon come from Gen 3. Grovyle, Sceptile, Torkoal, Crawdon Corphish, I guess, and Swellow. 4 of my 6 favorite Pokemon all come from Gen 3. Now, I don't know, maybe it's because Gen 3 is where I really picked up the animated series with the Pokemon anime, maybe. But I've played Gen 3 the least, and it's got 4 of my favorite Pokemon of all time in it. So you weigh it out, it comes out to just under halfway. It comes out to just under half. And the only reason it's not at the halfway point is because of what took number 3. What took number 3 was Generation 1. Now, what Gen 1 is... Now, I hear a lot of people hate... There are a lot of people who hate Gen 1, who hate on Gen 1 and everything. Gen 1ers... Stuff like that. I'm not a Gen 1er, I'm a Gen 4er. I started in Gen 4, or not Gen 4, whatever it's called. I started in Generation 4. I went back to Gen 1, Gen 2, 3, went up to 5 and 6. I've done all of them. I've played all 6 generations. I started at 4, in 2006 or 7. That Christmas of whatever year they came, Diamond and Pearl came out in. Now, it's okay generation. Now, I personally, it's okay. I don't mind it that much. I like it though because it's the original series. They had nothing to go off on. They had nothing to go off on how to improve the game or whatever. And Pokemon Yellow is amazing. Pokemon Yellow is so much fun. Now, sure, there's a lot of stuff broken with the game. Like there's a lot of glitches, like the Mew glitch and stuff like that, and the problem with the item system. But you really can't hate on Gen 1, can you? Because it's the start of the whole series. Now, you can't. Now, if you say you hate Gen 1 because the graphics are nowhere near as good as they are in, say, Gen 5 or Gen 6, of course not. Gen 1 came out 15 years ago. Generation 1 came out like 15, 20 years ago. Now, I can't say I'd love to go back. I always go back to Gen 1. I always go back to Pokemon Yellow, stuff like that. I love those games. Now we're going to move on to number 2, though. And number 2, deciding between 1 and 2 was really difficult. Taking the spot at number 2 is Pokemon Generation 5. Now Gen 5 is, Now Gen 5, I could care less about Black and White 1. Black and White 1 I hate. Not hate, but I don't like it. I don't really like it that much. The whole, I don't like it too much at all. Like, they took out every Pokemon from the old generations, which that was, in my opinion, that was a really bad move. You could have at least kept Pikachu or Geodude or Zubat. Do what they did back in the past 4 generations. You add a bunch of new Pokemon onto it. You just add a bunch of new Pokemon onto it, and you just keep all the old ones. You just keep a lot of the old ones. Like, you could still, Gen 4 they added a bunch of new Pokemon. They added a lot of new Pokemon. Who could you still catch? Geodudes, Zubats, Pikachus. You can catch all the main guys. You can catch the main key guys that you always need. You can catch Glygars. You can catch Eevees. You can get your Espeons. I don't remember. You can get your Corefishes. I don't remember if you can get you can't get Swellows. Gen 6 is the only other generation besides Gen 3 where you can get Swellows, and I love Gen 6 for that. But this is Generation 5. Now, Black and White 1 didn't have a lot going for it. I could care less about Black and White 1, but Black and White 2, no. Black and White 2 is amazing. I love Black and White 2. The aftergame is really good. It's got a pretty big aftergame to it. They use the map more efficiently compared to how it was back in Black and White 1, and they add Pokemon from the past. You get tons of Pokemon from all 5 generations, and I love that. I love what they did with that. I love having Espeon and Flygon. I love having an Espeon and a Flygon on my team. Now, so we're gonna move on to Now we're gonna move on to my favorite generation out of all 6. And if you've been paying attention, if you know me, it's pretty obvious what my favorite generation is. Generation 4, the Sinnoh region. Now, the Sinnoh region is my favorite region in the game. Is my favorite generation because not only was it my first generation I ever played, but it also has my favorite Pokemon of all time in it. It's got Gliscor. And if you're thinking the way I'm thinking, then why is Gen 2 down at the bottom? Espeon is one of your tops. Espeon's tied right up there with Gliscor at number 1. Yeah. But I can get Espeon in any gen. I can get an Espeon in just about any generation I want. I can get an Espeon in Gen 2, Gen 4, Gen 5, Gen 6. I can get an Espeon in any of those generations at little to no pain to me at all. Sure, it might take a little while because Eevees aren't the most common Pokemon, but I can get it. I can get an Espeon. Sure, Espeon isn't the easiest to evolve into, but I can still get it with little to no trouble. That was one thing I did like about Black and White 2, though. That was another thing about Black and White 2. They added so much to it. They reduced the levels for some moves. Espeon gained a huge Gen 5 boost. Gained a huge boost from that Gen 5 stuff. Instead of needing to be like level 62 or whatever to get Morning Sun and Psychic like level 60, you now only have to be like level 34 for Psychic and like level 36 for Morning Sun. It's not that big. They cut it in half. It's amazing. I'm so glad they did that. I love Game Freak for doing that. It's amazing. But Generation 4, it's got Gliscor. It was the first ever Pokemon game It was the first Pokemon game I ever played. It has the best champion ever. You've got the best champion in the history of Pokemon, Cynthia. She's the first real tough challenge. She's the first real challenge to any champion, really, that out there. And she's also the first female champion, and she's the best. She's got a really diverse team with really great movesets and really good levels and everything like that, too. In Gen 4, her Aqua Ring Milotic is impossible to beat. You can't beat an Aqua Ring Milotic when Cynthia's the one training it. Her Garchomp is amazing. She's got a really good team, a really diverse team. And she's also the first champion to have a Pokemon without any weaknesses. You didn't see Lance or your rival or Wallace or Steven. How can I forget Steven? How do I remember Wallace, but I forget Steven? Can't believe I did that. But like, none of them had Pokemons with zero weak. None of them had any Pokemon without a weakness. They all had at least one weakness. Her Spirit Tome had no weaknesses whatsoever, and it was really good. Now, granted, there are a lot of there's a lot of problems with Gen 4. It's really slow. It's a lot slower paced than just about. It's probably one of the slowest paced generation games out there. But it's at least fun, and you get a lot of old Pokemon and stuff like that. Plus, they added evolutions to Pokemon that you never thought they would. They added an evolution to Rhydon. They gave you Rhyperior, who can tank anything. You can take anything but grass, water, and fighting type moves. They also added Mamoswine, the evolved form of Piloswine, making Piloswine really good. Making the Swinubline really good. They added Gliscor, who's really good for Gligar. Made Gligar that much better. And you got Electivire, who's really good as well. And then there's also a couple who aren't that good. You got Magmortar, who I personally don't like. Especially with the 180 they pulled on it. Magmar is a fast special attacker, while Magmortar is a bulky special attacker. They also added Dusknoir to Dusclops and a bunch of others, and it's just glad that they did all they did. So, that was my top 6. Let me know what your top 6 is in the comments below. And coming up next is my top 6 favorite football teams. My top 6 favorite football teams, followed by my top 6 favorite basketball teams, followed by my top 6 baseball teams, or NASCAR drivers, then baseball teams. I'll see you all then. Goodbye.